Hi guys, this is Vietchkovsky Tarot. I am so grateful for your patience, and obviously I have been a little bit on hiatus for a little bit because, as I was saying in some of my previous videos, we were moving and we have now officially moved. We are in the back of a van at the moment, so yay, we've done it, we've moved, but it now means that I can crack on with our final reading for Venus retrograde, and this is for water signs. So we will be starting with Cancer, doing the same 3 questions of what are you likely to be reminded of, what is your heart wanting to be open and honest about during Venus retrograde, what kind of self-care can you practice, and what love are you ready to receive. Now, Venus retrograde is going to be over in about a month, so please, if you have any funny stories, feel free to tell me. I know I've got a few. But then we'll be moving on to our Jupiter retrograde reading, because that doesn't end for another 4 months.
And he's
It's Jupiter. Or Jupiter. We have got the Star. Now, I need to actually figure out, because I don't have a table anymore. The 6 of Swords reverse. Yeah, I haven't quite figured out my lighting here. There we go, that's good lighting, just there. And the 4 of Swords reversed. Okay, so immediately in this reading, I get that you are looking towards something. You are looking towards getting something started, and okay, so we will start with the Star, and the Star is representing what your heart wants to be honest about, what your heart wants to be open about, what kind of thing should you be focusing on for Venus retrograde. The Star implies to me this real sense of self, this real security in self, and this real confidence in your ambitions, your dreams, and your general grounding. I feel like your Venus retrograde should be focused on finding your bearings, finding your grounding, and finding gratitude and happiness with what you have around you, and finding this real sense of belonging, almost this idea of being aware that you're doing something right and being aware that you're on the right path, which is what I feel these next 2 cards are sort of talking about as well. As I said at the beginning, with this idea that you were working towards something and you were making your way forward, because there's a real focus on this 4 of Swords card. So next we have the 6 of Swords as what kind of self-care ritual can you be practicing in at the moment, and this I feel is having a sort of release almost from the past, is finding this release from the past and this release from maybe people who have let you down and thoughts that you've had about yourself and about where you're going to sort of be put to bed a little bit. You need to be focusing more on the journey that you have ahead of you and less on what is holding you back, which I feel is where the Star came in a little bit, with this idea of finding your sense of belonging and finding this pride in what you're doing at the moment and how far you've come. So I feel like there is definitely some sort of mental struggle at the moment that you're trying to push through and you're trying to push forward with, but it feels as though with the 4 of Swords as your love that you're ready to receive, and you are really looking towards this, you are really looking forward and towards this love that gives you a sense of perhaps maybe progress is slow, but progress is still being made, and your mental stability is starting to come to light a little bit more, and your mental stability is starting to find its way, even if it has taken quite a while. And you should be looking for love that does not give you this affiliation with the past. You should be looking for this love that gives you this sense of grounding and gives you this sense of belonging and making you feel as though the mental struggle has been worth it, and the mental struggle has push you to be a stronger person and to be a better person rather than just weighing you down all the time. And there's a real sort of, there's a lot of air energy coming from this reading. Obviously we've got the Star as Aquarius, the 6 of Swords is Aquarius, and the 4 of Swords is a Libra. So perhaps if there is an air sign that you are close to, there is an air sign that is sort of the reason that you are still going. maybe they are the one that you could find your grounding with, or they are the one that is going to give you this ambitious sort of push to keep going and remind you constantly that what you're doing is good and what you're doing is right for you. So that was my Venus retrograde reading for Cancer. I hope you liked it. I hope it resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments. And again, I thank you for your patience and of course for subscribing to my Patreon. So thank you, and I will see you tomorrow. Okie dokie, so we are now on Scorpio, and we are doing a 3-card reading for Venus retrograde, looking at what your heart wants to be open about, what you should be focusing about this Venus retrograde, what kind of self-care can you look for, or what kind of self-care can you practice, and of course what kind of love are you ready to receive. And we have started with the Page of Cups reversed, the 5 of Cups, and the 8 of Swords. There's a lot of possessive energy in this reading, obviously, and a lot of emotional energy in this reading. Obviously, starting with the Page of Cups reversed as what your heart wants to be honest about and what you should be focusing on for your Venus retrograde. And I feel like this card is sort of suggesting to you to sort of perhaps work on your previous experience with how you portray your emotions and how you establish your emotions. There's this real sort of affiliation, or there's this real fixation with the past in this reading. I feel like there's something that's happened in your past that is sort of staying in your future that you can't quite let go of at the moment. And the Page of Cups, I feel, is your heart telling you to learn to trust in a way. I feel like Venus retrograde is going to be a really perhaps difficult time for you to learn how to trust again, and learning how to seem less possessive or less inexperienced when expressing and establishing your emotions and connections and relationships with others. I feel like perhaps something's happened in your past that's given you this level of hesitation and this inexperience to trust people, and almost this uncontrollable, maybe even unintentional possessive behavior towards when you get into a new relationship. So I feel like Venus retrograde is going to be a chance for you to learn that aspect of yourself and learn that part of yourself and how to release it and how to actually find your bearings and how to actually find your trust with other people and how they are going to treat you and how you feel about them. Now again, we've got the 5 of Cups for your self-care ritual, and this I feel really resonates with this Page of Cups card. Obviously having this fixation in the past, but I feel like the self-care that you can actually embrace this Venus retrograde is taking the good from your previous relationship or your previous connection and moving on, essentially. Sort of just really, as I was saying with the Page of Cups, releasing these heavy, weighing you down emotions and just taking the good from your previous experience and taking the good from what you had with a certain person. It feels someone from your past. I feel like they're really weighing on you at the moment, which is obvious. I mean, it's Venus retrograde, of course we're going to be thinking about our exes. I mean, that's just what happens apparently. But it feels like you're particularly holding on to what you had and what you've lost as opposed to what you can take away, if that makes sense. This idea that you need to look for the good, look what the relationship brought you, look what the connection made you become and how it helped you grow as a person, and then move to the future and look ahead of you as opposed to staying fixated on the past. And then finally, for the love that you're ready to receive, we have got the 8 of Swords, which is interesting that we talked about trust with the Page of Cups, because I feel like the love that you're ready to receive is sort of by trusting your instincts a little bit more with this. There's this idea of, I feel like someone's in your life at the moment, or someone's going to come into your life, and they're sort of going to teach you to trust, and they're sort of going to allow you to very slowly, obviously, break down your walls a little bit at a time, obviously. There's this idea, I feel, with this card in particular, that you've put up a lot of mental barriers. You've put up a wall so people can't break in. But you're going to meet someone who is going to guide you and give you this comfort in slowly, in your own time, in your own way, breaking down that wall so that they can get in a less creepy way. So that they can help you, and they can help you see clearer, and they can help you feel a little bit more free in your general state of mental and emotional well-being. So that was my reading for Scorpios for Venus retrograde. I hope this has given you some guidance. I hope this has resonated with you. Please let me know in the comments if it did. And I thank you again for subscribing to my Patreon and for your patience for this reading. Okie dokie, so we are now on Pisces for Venus retrograde. We're doing a 3-card reading for what your heart wants to be open about and what your Venus retrograde should be focused on. What kind of self-care ritual can you be practicing? What kind of self-care can you be looking forward to? And finally, what kind of love are you ready to receive at the moment? And we have got the King of Swords reversed, the 6 of Pentacles. I've lost my lighting again. And we've got the Hermit reversed. Okay, I'm going to start with the King of Swords and the Hermit reversed first, because I feel like they're very personal cards and they speak to you quite prominently in this reading. So we look at the King of Swords reversed as what your Venus retrograde can be honest about, what kind of hidden truths are going to come to light. And I feel like this card is sort of implying this idea of checking your own behavior. I feel like the King of Swords is often seen as someone who can be quite immature and can be in control, like definitely have a sense of dominance, definitely have a sense of control, but it sometimes cannot come across in the best way at time. There's this sort of, sometimes a bit of a disconnection between heart and mind. There's this, sometimes one or the other can be too overbearing, and I feel like your Venus retrograde is going to become very apparent of this. There's going to be a very apparent acknowledgement of the way that you think and the way that you feel, and how these two collide and how these two clash at times. So I feel your Venus retrograde is going to be having some time for reflection and having some time to think about yourself and to work on yourself and to work on how you approach new opportunities, which is where we move on to these 6 of Pentacles, because the self-care ritual that you can be working on is by offering yourself this new opportunity. Obviously, there's this idea with this card that you have already branched out. You have done what you can for now to branch out and to give yourself a wider range of connections and a wider range of influences. That's a good word. But there is going to be a new opportunity that you haven't quite seized just yet. You haven't quite seen it, and it's going to be coming your way. So the self-care ritual is going to be planting the seeds of the new opportunity and branching out from that. And this, I feel, is either in a new relationship or a new project of some form. There's going to be something to focus your mind on, and I feel like this is going to be the thing that reflects yourself. I feel like you're going to meet someone who gives you this reflection of yourself, and you're going to learn to work on the aspects of yourself that haven't quite worked for you in the past. So finally, we have the Hermit reversed as what kind of love are you ready to receive? And this is where I went on the tangent of finding someone who reflects aspects of yourself, because the Hermit reversed is all about solitude, self-reflection, and isolation essentially. And I feel like there's this idea that the love that you're ready to receive is someone who is going to make you look inwards, and someone who is going to make you want to look in at yourself and work on yourself as a better, and create a better reflection of who you want to be. So if it feels like things aren't quite going the way that, even if you feel in control of everything, if it doesn't feel like things are going your way at the moment, I feel there is an opportunity coming, and there is something coming your way that is going to really give you some time to find groundings within yourself. There is a lot of earth energy in this reading as well. We've got Taurus here and we've got Virgo here. So maybe they're an earth sign, or maybe they are just going to teach you groundings and teaching you how to find your bearings. So I feel Venus retrograde is going to be a very progressive, very opportunistic time period for you Pisces. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. I hope it gave you some guidance. I hope it gives you some excitement, because Venus retrograde is a very interesting time ahead of us. And I thank you again for subscribing to my Patreon.